Thinking about starting a solo podcast as a travel creator? Then you're in the right place, because not only have I launched multiple podcasts myself, I've helped many clients do the same. Travel agents, travel bloggers, travel content creators, travel coaches, other professionals, serving professionals in the travel space. I have done it all, and I cannot wait to share everything I've learned with you in this super short but actionable YouTube video. If you want to see a deeper dive that goes a little bit longer in length, I do have a blog post that's completely free, and it is the ultimate guide, always being added to and constantly updated. You don't even need to enter your email address. You can just click it at the link below here in the description. Now, let's get into it. Many think that the first step is buying a mic, figuring out where to host their podcast, and all of these other technical things. But really, there's some pre-work you need to do before you get to any of the equipment or software. And that is this 7-step process that I'm going to go with you now. Step 1 is clarifying your purpose. You need to know why you want to launch a podcast and why now is the right time. Because contrary to what many podcast strategists and content people will say, it's not always a good time to start a podcast. So you want to make sure that you're starting one when you're ready, when you're excited, when you have the capacity and the equipment necessary to do so successfully. And remember, even if you can't start a podcast by yourself right now, there are so many other options like podcast guesting or even creating a private limited series podcast as an opt-in. And we'll get to all of that in the future. So if you definitely want to learn more about what podcasting can do for your business, from going to a travel creator to a true travel professional, definitely subscribe and like this video so that YouTube knows to send you more like it. Okay, so how do we figure out our podcast purpose, and what exactly do we mean by that? Well, there are many different possible purposes that you could have for launching your own show. Maybe you're trying to get more leads for your business, and this totally makes sense if you are offering coaching, packages, maybe you have a done-for-you service, maybe you're a travel agent, or maybe you're a travel coach and you want to offer one-on-one sessions, a group coaching program, or packages. Either way, getting more leads for your business is always a great idea, and getting more leads can either mean having people on a list and you reach out to them individually and manually, or they're going onto an email list via a freebie given to them as a lead magnet with an opt-in page. However you do it, you always want to have a steady stream of people who are interested in your products and services, so that even when your existing clients and their contracts or their programs, you have other people who are ready to work with you. Another popular purpose is selling more of your courses or digital products. Now, digital products can mean different things to different people, so I'm just going to quickly define what all of that means. Digital products, the ones that I think of, are usually what you see available on Etsy. They're usually items you can download instantly. They can be a PDF, a Google Doc, a Google Sheet, something that someone can interact with basically immediately. You might have products like this available for sale on Etsy or on Amazon KDP, or maybe you have them hosted on your own website using a plugin like WooCommerce. Or you might use a third-party website like Payhip or Gumroad. However you're selling them, digital products are typically items that can be accessed and used right away. But if you have courses or memberships, which are also in their way digital products because they're digital offerings, I should say, you can also sell those with a podcast. Either immediately, depending on the price point, you can have them buy directly from the podcast description. Or you can set up marketing funnels so that, for example, a podcast episode leads to them DMing you a certain word on Instagram. You have a link DM or ManyChat funnel set up, and then that gets them on your email list, and then you sell to them in your email. Or maybe you have an upcoming webinar, you plan podcast episodes that get people to register for that webinar, and then you sell your course or your membership or your program live on the webinar. No matter how you do it, podcasting can be a way to help them get there. If you're a travel blogger, or if you're just a travel creator and you're interested in driving more traffic to a website or maybe even to a YouTube channel, it's great for this too. Because once you get onto other people's podcasts, they will refer back to your podcast, which will then lead to your website. And the more people that see your website, the more traffic you get, the more opportunities you have to monetize with ads. So you can get into an ad network like Mediavine or Raptive more quickly by not only having your own podcast, but by getting on other people's podcasts as well. And of course, this is a core purpose that you probably have because you're passionate about a certain region, a certain type of travel, or a certain type of traveler for a reason, and that is to more deeply connect with your audience. Instagram Reels, TikTok videos, YouTube Shorts, they're great. I'm not anti-social media, but they're limited. When you only have 30, 60 seconds, maybe up to 90 seconds or 3 minutes to connect with somebody, you just can't go as deeply into the content, and you can't connect with someone as personally as you can do when you have more time to talk with them. This is also why I'm a big fan of starting a video podcast podcast as opposed to an audio only one. One, because you'll have more opportunities to repurpose those video podcast episodes into other types of content later. And two, because not only do you hear their voice, you see their face. So you can host a video podcast on YouTube, for example, and then have an audio only version for the platforms that allow that. And then you have so many opportunities to create more content later. So your first action step, one that you can actually take right now, so go ahead and pause this video if you need to and take action on it, is to pick your primary purpose. Now, of course, we do want to connect with people, but we also want to sell things if we have a business. And this is Hello Travel Pro, right? This is Travel Pro Studio, Travel Pro Media. The difference between an amateur and professional is just making money. So I want you to make money with what you're doing. And that means we have to be strategic and we have to be intentional and we have to take action and execute on what we're learning. So if you haven't already, go ahead and pick your purpose now. What will you focus on selling or doing first with your podcast? Once you've picked your purpose, step 2 is to choose your format. And this is another one of those hard decisions that you really just have to go with one, try it out for a while and see how it goes. Ideally, at least 90 days to 6 months so that you have enough data to make a decision. Format-wise, you can choose between video and audio or audio only, and you can also choose podcast length. You can have bite-sized episodes between 5 and 15 minutes each. These are great for busy professionals or for people to listen to when they're maybe getting their coffee in the morning. You can do deep dive episodes, especially great if you have a topic that needs a little bit more explanation, or if you have a multi-step process, kind of like I'm doing in this YouTube video. And those are usually between 20 and 30 minutes long, or you might decide to do some long-form storytelling, which can be anywhere from 30 minutes to 40 to an hour, or maybe even multiple hours. And by the way, the cadence goes with this too. So you don't have to release an episode every single week if that's overwhelming, especially if you are creating and producing these longer episodes. You can instead choose to do bi-weekly, so every other week. You can do monthly. You can release one whole session so people can binge every quarter. You get to choose. And in fact, the format and the cadence are two ways that you can make your show stand out. Entrepreneur on Fire, one great podcast I really love and a podcaster I admire, stood out in the early days by having an episode every single day of the week. So even though an interview show wasn't new, a podcast for entrepreneurs wasn't new, he stood out because his episodes were released and published daily. So you're going to choose your format, video or audio or both. You're going to choose how long your episodes are going to be, and you're going to choose your publishing cadence. If you haven't already, pause this video, make that decision, and then push play when you're ready. Did you do it? I hope so. Now we're moving on to step 3, which is to pick your name and branding. Honestly, this is a whole wormhole, and you could be stuck on this for days, weeks, months, or even years. And in fact, that is the truth. Many podcasters will not even make it this long in the video, and they usually won't even read the whole article that I have down below that's totally free that lists all of these steps in detail. They won't even learn what they actually need to learn or finish that, and then they usually won't take the next step, which is actually executing on what they've learned. But thankfully, you're going to do that right now. Remember that the decisions you're making can always be changed in the future. Ideally, you do want to pick a name and branding that is something that can stand the test of time, that will make sense for your brand and what you're going to continue to offer, but you're not tied to it. So you can change it in the future if you need to. There are some best practices for choosing a podcast name. One, you want for it to be searchable. So it can be related to what your brand is, the type of travel, your destination or region that you're focusing on, the type of traveler. So maybe you want to call out the people you're talking to. For example, my podcast for teachers is Teachers Talk Travel. You know exactly who it's for and what it's about just from the title. You also want to use words that are easy to say and easy to spell, because if someone wants to talk about it or search it or share it with someone else who might be interested, you want for it to be easy enough for them to do that. A couple of formulas that work really well are you can do it based on your brand, like the Travel Coach Network podcast. You can have it based on your personal brand if you do have a lot of leverage in your space. You can have it based off your store brand, like She Knows SEO by Nina Clapperton. Or you can have it playful and niche specific, something that works with rhyming and alliteration, for example, like Wander and Work. ChatGPT is great for this, by the way, so I highly recommend if you're not already using ChatGPT to help you generate names, that is a great way. And then you can use a site like Namechecker to make sure the name isn't already taken. I also recommend, if you're based in the United States, to check with the USPTO, that's the Patent and Trademark Office, to make sure that the name you're wanting to use and the brand you're wanting to build around it isn't already existing elsewhere, so you can avoid brand confusion and then also legal trouble in the future. Step 4 is to set up your tech. This is usually where people want to start, but as you can see, there is a lot of pre-work that needs to happen in advance of even getting to this step. Thankfully, you do not need a lot of fancy gear to get started. That is a big myth, but you do need a few things, absolutely. You need to have a great mic. People are more forgiving of video camera quality, but you definitely need the audio to be great. You need to have headphones, especially if you're doing virtual interviews or even if you're doing interviews in person, so that way you don't get any of that background noise. And you need to have some kind of recording software. Thankfully, there are many free ones. The equipment that I've used for my own shows and the equipment that I've recommended to clients has definitely evolved over time. My first mic was by Fafine. I'm actually not sure how you say that, but it's like $30 or so and it's on Amazon. I'll be sure to link it in the episode description as well as all of my gear recommendations. You can find all of those there. Headphones, there are so many you could do. I have a pair of $200 Bose headphones that I really love, and I especially love them because they have a Bluetooth connection, so I don't have to worry about more cords, and I can switch them very seamlessly between being connected to my phone, to being connected to my laptop, and so on. But I also really love these. This is $10 to $20 at your local Walmart if you have a Walmart nearby you, or you can order it. That is a very dirty box for some reason. Anyway, these headphones are great, and let me just read off the series to you. They're Sony MDR ZX110, and if I do have a link, I'll be sure to put that down in the description below. But on your next trip there, if you do shop there, you can find them in the electronics section. They are very good quality for that price point. These ones are corded, and you do need to have a 3.5 millimeter audio jack, which can be kind of annoying because it's not always available. So you have to make sure you have that in your computer where you're going to be working. And then for recording software, there's a lot you can do. I especially love Audacity. You can do so much of not only the actual recording in there and the mixing, but you can also master the audio and make it sound really great and professional. I'm also a big fan of Descript. So what I'll usually do for my own episodes, if I'm doing audio only, is I will record into Audacity, I will mix and master it there, and then I will upload it into a program like Descript, and that is very user-friendly. You can actually edit via text. You could even cut, copy, paste, move around the text, and that will move around the video and audio at the same time. It's actually really amazing. I have a link for that down in the description as well, but if you want to start with Audacity, it's completely free. If you know that you are definitely starting with a video first podcast, then I highly recommend that you check out Riverside. You might have heard about it already. Riverside.fm is very popular, and it goes very well with Spotify for creators / Spotify for podcasters if you've been looking at that as an option for hosting your show. Speaking of, you do need to have a podcast host, and honestly, that deserves its own video, so I will dive into that in a separate video. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so that you get that next video once it's available. If it is already available, I'll be sure to have it linked down in the description, and maybe I'll even have a card here on the video so you can see it. If it's not there yet, then it's not available yet. Another pro tip here is that the room you record in makes a much bigger difference than the equipment you use. And here's what I mean. My room is actually not the best right now set up. I still have to make some modifications. It's kind of big and echoey. There's no carpet, so there's a little bit of an echo. And thankfully, I'm able to mitigate that. But this sounds silly, but if you're willing to record in your closet, or if you're willing to pull a blanket over you because you're doing a solo podcast where you don't really need to do interviews that much, your sound is going to be amazing. Okay. So on the mic, blanket over, not touching the mic, that is a great way that's easy to do, or you can record in your closet if you don't have a whole studio set up. Now, earlier I mentioned headphones if you're doing interviews. Now, if you're setting up a solo podcast, you're probably not planning to do any interviews, or at least many of them, but I will still say having headphones is important because even the sound of your voice and the echo can still give you some feedback. So having headphones on when you're recording is great and ideal if you can do it. But I also understand the visuals, right? I'm doing a video podcast. I don't always want my headphones on, but something to consider. And then step 5 is to record your first 5 episodes. Don't overthink this, just do it. The sooner you can get your first 5 episodes recorded and edited and uploaded, the sooner you can have people start discovering you, and then you can start refining your craft. Many people don't want to start something until they're good at it, but you don't get good at something until you have experience and practice. And that's exactly what we're doing. The first 5 episodes are there to introduce you to people who might be searching for your topic on a platform like Spotify, but they're also for you to learn about the art of communication and crafting an episode. Here is what I recommend to be your first 5 episodes, but of course, you can do whatever feels right for you. Your first one is going to be an introduction to you, your brand, and what you do. So if you have some kind of service or coaching or consulting, or if you're a blogger and you really want for people to come to your website, you want to be thinking about your call to action and your end desired result in mind, because that's also going to affect how you introduce yourself and where people can go to learn more about you. Your second episode should be your origin story. Why are you starting a podcast? Why did you start start this whole travel blog brand business you have in the first place. Bring people along on that journey. If you're new, don't be afraid to say that. People actually love supporting new creators that are up and coming. Number 3, your third episode, you can answer a commonly asked question in your niche, or you can even bust a myth or an objection. If you know something that's going to come up often, go ahead and hit it from the beginning. It shows that you really know your audience and your listener, which is how we win anyway in this whole game. And that's all really marketing is about, is listening, helping, and serving. For your 4th episode, you can include a personal story related to your niche, ideally that shows how you're maybe struggling with something, you were learning something, and how you've mastered it, especially if that's connected to a certain technique you use in your coaching or consulting. Or if you're a travel blogger, maybe you focus on, say, sustainable tourism. What is it that got you passionate about that? What have you done to start living more in alignment with your values? Sometimes the outcomes we have and that we're promising aren't completely tangible. So it'll take some time for you to think about, how can I make this more tangible, and how can I craft my narrative and my story to show how I was able to get this desired result? Case studies work well too, especially if you're a coach, service provider, or you have an agency, or you have a course or a membership. Can you share a story of someone who they purchased your product or service and they're winning? Or even if they're just using the techniques you have. I also love it when people have podcasts and YouTube channels and they showcase how someone, by just listening to their podcast or watching a YouTube video, they were able to get an amazing result. And then episode 5 can be a quick win tip, tactic, or strategy that your listener can use today to see immediate results and take action. Step 6, we're almost at the end here, is editing and uploading your episode. Now, I already kind of mentioned what you're going to need to get started, and I mentioned Audacity for recording and some editing and mastering and mixing, and then Descript for editing. Those are what I recommend for editing, but this is also what really trips people up because it's one of the more technical steps in the process. My team and I would love to help you with this. If you want, you can either hire us to fully take on your podcast and help with the launch of it and the growing of it, or you can just outsource the editing of episodes, and I'll put all that information down in the description as well. Related to this, people often ask, what do I do for music? Do I need an intro or an outro? You actually don't. Many listeners love it when you get straight to the point without a big fuzzy intro, and in fact, if you were paying attention, I did that with this video. I got right into the content from the beginning. Music is another one that I will cover in depth because there is so much you want to consider about trademark, copyright, and intellectual property when you are choosing or creating music to use for your intros and outros, should you decide to have them. And then of course, you need to pick a podcast host. I already kind of mentioned that, but I'll dive deeper into that in another video. Then it's time to launch and promote. Many people think that launching the podcast means when they actually upload the episodes, but that's just the beginning of the work, right? You have the pre-work, you have the recording, editing, and uploading of the episodes, but then you actually have the launch and the promotion. This is when you get your first 100 listeners, and we actually have so many services and products to help with that. So if you haven't already, definitely check it out. But here are some ways to get your first few listeners. One is by sharing that thing everywhere. On your personal Facebook page, ask people to share on your Facebook and Instagram stories, on TikTok if you're there, or honestly, whatever other social media platform is out by that time. Text-based platforms like Twitter/X and Threads are also great for promoting podcasts because people who are listening to podcasts are often already on those platforms. If you have an email list, even if it's small, even if it's 100 or 200 people, email your podcast to them. Make a big deal. Make it really exciting. Let them know that there's another free resource available for them to consume because that's what it really is for them. It's another way for them to learn and even get coached or helped by you without paying you yet. And the great thing is, once they do listen to that podcast or watch it if it's a video podcast, they're going to be one step closer to trusting you with whatever problem they're looking to solve. And remember, you can repurpose these episodes into Reels or TikToks or Shorts if you have a video podcast, or even just into the text for carousel posts and blog posts if it's audio only. And you can use that to promote your show. Always be driving traffic back to those episodes. Final thoughts here. The hardest part is just getting started. It's getting over all of the mind drama that's going to make you not want to take action. You really do just have to do it. And once you do, you're going to find that by taking action, by doing something small every day, you're going to be one step closer to having a successful podcast. Thank you so much for watching this video and listening all the way through. It is not lost on me how busy you are. My name is Brittany. I'm the owner of Travel Pro Studios, Studios and Travel Pro Media. Travel Pro Media is our educational arm, so you're here if you're watching this video. If you haven't already, hit like so that YouTube knows you're looking to start a podcast, and then subscribe if you want to learn more. And I would love to hear from you. Where in the process are you for launching your solo podcast? I really do want to know. You can let me know down here in the comments, or you can send me an email, brittany@hellotravelpro.com. We'll put it up on the screen for you, so take a picture, take a screenshot. I hope to hear from you soon, and when you launch your show, definitely let me know because I want to celebrate with you. Talk soon.